Oh, you want to start the recording? Hello. Hello, everybody. Sorry, we're having a little couple technical difficulties, but welcome to Spirit Chat. I am one of your hosts, Medium Mari, and welcome to this first episode of the fall, I guess. I mean, it doesn't look like fall yet outside, but it is coming up upon us here in September, especially in New England. And of course, I'm working with my lovely co-host, Winter Brook, and who's also a medium and a psychic. So if you haven't been here before, my name is Medium Mari. I am a psychic medium and animal communicator, and I love to connect people with their loved ones or pets. I also help to find missing animals with the help of spirit, which is kind of cool. But I'm just happy to be here today, and happy to be back after a nice little hiatus over the summer. And today we are going to be talking about releasing what no longer serves you. You know, as the fall comes in and the leaves come down, we thought that would be a nice topic. So welcome, come on in. Again, if you're watching this, this is also on YouTube, Facebook, and we are also, for the first time, on iHeart and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you miss an episode, you can always catch up. So let me throw it over to my beautiful co-host, Winter Brook, and she can introduce herself. Take
Hi
it away.
everyone. I'm so happy to be back. I love working with Mari, but we do take the summers off and go crazy with the families, or at least just get busy with the families. Um, but it's so nice to be back on the podcast and back talking about spirituality and hints that we learn along the way that we can share with you on how to improve your experience and your life here. So, like Mari, I am also a psychic medium, an animal communicator, and then I dabble or practice trance mediumship and some physical mediumship with transfiguration. Reiki master teacher as well. Love the healing modalities. And that's what a lot of us need. And I had asked Mari if we could do this topic about releasing for today because Mother Nature also goes through cyclical patterns. And the fall in the Northern Hemisphere is when she loses her leaves because with the winter coming and lack of nourishment and quietness and lack of growth, it's better to get rid of the leaves that would then become the tree would die if it had to feed all those leaves. So she releases those leaves. They then fall to the ground. And if your landscaper doesn't pick them up, they will decay and create nutrients for the ground, which will be absorbed once again by the roots of the various plants and trees when those leaves become part of the soil. And when they burst into new life in the spring, the cycle will start again. So Mother Nature has a wisdom um, as Ghana, as a living being. And I think it's a great wisdom to follow that in the fall, even though for our society, fall often represents the beginning of a new cycle, the beginning of school for the children. So we are starting a lot of new things, but we may have some stuff hanging over, kind of like the leaves of the tree. And I don't know about you guys, but my energy is just all over the place. So, releasing that which no longer serves you or get it wrapped up so you can put it away will free up space and energy in your life to embrace anything that is coming that's new. What do you think, Mari?
I agree with you 100%. I love the metaphor with the leaves, and like as you can see, they haven't started turning yet, but they will. And it's a very apt metaphor also about you were talking about how if the tree didn't release the leaves, it would probably die and have a problem. And that's sort of what I wanted to chat a little bit about today is, a lot of times we get in these cycles where we're holding on to things that are comfortable to us, but they're not necessarily what's going to help us or nourish us. And so a lot of when I was sort of sitting this with this in meditation was what was coming up was really about fear. And, I'm also a licensed psychotherapist, so I sort of go off in that direction many times. But I was sort of talking to spirit and connecting with this idea of letting go of what no longer serves you and what is in the way of that. A lot of times it's just we're afraid and it's sometimes people will walk with a nail in their shoe instead of taking it out. It's like, wouldn't you rather be more comfortable? But before taking the nail out, there's all the, well, what happens if, and what if I do this, and something else might be worse. So I guess what I wanted to encourage people to do today is to really take a look at that fear, whatever's getting in the way of you releasing those things. Because, as Winter knows, and anybody in this field knows, or just if you're moderately connected to the spiritual energy of the universe, you're getting signs all the time. So in your own heart, your body, your mind, if things aren't quite the way they should be. And your loved ones, pets, guardians, they're all sending you signs of like, hey, maybe you should think about doing this, or maybe you should take this class, or look at this apartment. Some ad pops up on Facebook and you've been looking for an apartment. But many times, because of that fear, a lot of us stay small and say, oh no, I can't do that, and just, add excuse here when instead of releasing those leaves, because like we said, the leaves are not going to help the tree, and doing things that don't help you are not going to help you either. So what I wanted to encourage our viewers and listeners today is to really go into that space of maybe being a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, I'm not suggesting doing anything crazy,
Or
but
jumping out of planes.
yes, unless that's something you really want to do. But, if you're looking for a new job or you're looking for a new hobby or you're thinking about starting that course at university and, you keep seeing these signs and you're like, yeah, I'm too old. No, I'm not, I can't do it. No, it's all that stuff. It's that fear that is stopping you from releasing those leaves so that you can get new nutrients and kind of start over. And I wanted people to consider that because it's important to understand why we're not doing it. It's not that all of us don't want to grow and move into a new space. We do, but it's the fear and the what will happen if and all those questions we as humans ask that stops us from doing it. So I just wanted to encourage people to really take a look at that and, find out from yourself what's holding you back. What are you afraid of? And, and make a couple steps in that direction so that you can be in a new space and a new energy. What do you think, Winter?
And I'm doing that myself, as you
Yes,
know.
I know. I know you've got a lot of new things happening.
Well, no, what I meant was, so as Mari knows, I hosted a young girl from in foster care from Colombia over the summer just to do an act of kindness. And we fell in love with her, my family. So here I am at 57 years of age. I am applying to adopt her. Now, I just got the youngest one done with college in May, and I'm supposed to be a psychic medium, right? That's why I keep giggling with people. I had no idea I was going to be adopting a third child if he asked me last year. So, did I have moments of trepidation and fear? Of course. But like Mari said, there were signs I kept getting after this started coming to fruition that this was supposed to be a more permanent thing. And so I'm going with it. You know, I'm going to go back to be, if I get approved, I'm going to go back to being a mom in high school. So I'm not saying that you all have to go out and adopt a kid. or even a puppy or a kitten, which I
Yeah.
also did. But the point is, I did feel the fear. I got a little nervous because when I started the process, and I said, "Oh my goodness, am I really up for this?" And I decided I'm going to trust spirit, and yeah, I'm going to forge ahead. And it's been going pretty smoothly as long as my daughter does all the computer stuff. So, what is it that you've been thinking about doing, and the fear, oh, I can't do it, or what has been holding you back? Is like Mari said, is it taking a class? Is it travel? Maybe you haven't had the opportunity to travel, and now you're fearful to even think about it. You know what? Get one of those big water jugs and put the dollar bill in, not coins. You'll never lift it out of the room. And, put a dollar in every day and start the process. Pick the trip. Look at the different trips out there. Look at the different places you can go. Plan it for like 18 months from now. And by the time you get there, you'll be good.
100%. And I was going to add to something like that. It's like it's having goals and knowing sort of where you want to go, but also like stretching yourself. Like maybe you haven't traveled by yourself. Maybe you always wanted to go to Spain, but you don't have anybody to go with. Really listen to that intuition, you know. I was talking earlier about the signs and, symbols. So I bet you if it's something that's really meant for you and you've had this interest in going to Spain, you're going to suddenly see, things are going to be popping up, some Spanish song on the radio, or you drive by this new Spanish restaurant that's, or you have dreams about. So listen to those messages because that is spirit or your loved ones or your guides coming in and saying, like you can do this. Like this is okay. This is here for you. Because they're always around us. Our loved ones and our animals are always around us, sort of trying to give us the nudge in the right direction. But we're stubborn and we're human and we're filled with ego. And so many times we come up with reasons why we can't do these things. But it's important, like Winter said, during this time, even though the kids are going back to school and there is a lot of activity, if you want to follow the cycles of nature, this is kind of a pulling back time. In winter, we eat more hearty foods because it's easier on the digestion. And sort of everything cyclically, if you follow like Ayurveda as well, is sort of slowing down this time of year. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I know for me, like my body does a lot better if I'm sort of eating with the cycles, like having more fruit and everything in the summer and having quieter things, I like to say, in the winter, more starch or potato or just things that are more nourishing and hot. And it's important that you sort of try to work with whatever cycles feel good to you because that's going to help deepen your spiritual connection, and the more you do that, the more you're going to be closer in touch with your own soul. And then you're going to be able to move forward with the things you want to do. And yes, there will be fear. Yes, there will be like, oh, I don't know. It's not like if you're in the spiritual community, Winter was saying, you're like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll just do everything. And there's no fear at all. No, we're still human. But when you're
Oh,
connected to that space, you trust more, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You trust where you're being led and what's happening and the signs that you get. And that's what we wanted to encourage everyone today to really take a look at your life and see what you can let go of that isn't helping you and where do you want to move forward. Even if it's a little scary, where do you want to push yourself to grow as a spiritual being?
yeah. And the other thing is letting go. I know everybody always talks about spring cleaning, but this is also a part of letting go and releasing. If you've got clothes in the closet that you haven't worn in 2 years, donate them. Um, Reduce. The more stuff you have, the more your energy is being pulled in that direction.
Yes.
So, if you have those junk drawers. I try to clean my junk drawers twice a year just to kind of clean out, like, oh, look, a 20% coupon. I throw it in the one drawer for the coupon drawer. Well, after 6 months, they've expired. So it takes, I don't know, half an hour. If you could just focus on it, clean a few things out. That will also help you feel refreshed and rejuvenated. I learned many years ago that the more you own stuff wise, whether you're aware of it or not, that pulls on your energy. So when you release it, and especially if you can, Sue agrees with us and she's doing this now. So awesome, Sue. Especially if you can donate to others in need stuff you don't need anymore and you're not using, you've blessed someone else while freeing up your energy. So you've put out the positive, and the more that positive you put out, the universe is going to uh, come back to you with positive. So this is also a good time to kind of clean out. If you can wrap up things, if there's something that's almost complete, but you have to do a couple of more steps, try to find the time to just get it completed so you can just put that file away, as the lawyer in me would say. And then it disconnects. And again, your energy, you will feel a sense of accomplishment and freedom. And that will allow new to come in. Maybe what you're waiting for that won't come is actually standing at the precipice, but it can't get through because your energy is too devoted to all this old stuff. And you're not seeing that because you're incarnate, as we say. You're a physical being and you're not seeing it's your energy blockage of having stuff. This stuff can be physical, this stuff can be old emotions. Is there somebody that wronged you that you still think about from 15 years ago? Forgive them. Do the little forgiveness practice, a very easy one. Don't set your house on fire. Go over the toilet, maybe. Write it down and light it up and then put it in the toilet. I don't want you to set your house on fire. Or if you have one of those shells, I like to sage, you know, make a little like a fortune cookie size piece of paper and burn it in that little receptacle. And releasing and forgiving whatever uh, I'm losing the word. Sorry, guys. Whatever trespass that person did to you in the past, you will release some of your own energy. You know that old saying about the one who holds on to anger will only burn themselves? It's like I think Buddhist or
Yeah.
Confucius. It's an Asian saying.
Mhm.
That's what we're talking about. Because if you're holding on to grudges or anger, now, if something just recently happened, all right, sometimes you've got to go through the emotional cycles as a healthy human being to get there. But if it's something from like 15 years ago or childhood, release it. Forgive them. I did that when I first started opening up to mediumship and metaphysical realms. I used to release everybody I thought of like from elementary school that, you know, things that happen or, in college. I just went through that process. I don't know if it helped, but I feel better. So, I just want to share that with you because at this point, if it's that old, um, it's only hurting you. So release, forgive, and move on.
100%. And that's, yeah, that's another, another thing to release. We release the physical, we release the emotional, the metaphysical, sometimes the actual physical, like if you're trying to lose weight, losing pounds, any of that stuff. And now is a really good time to do it. And I know they do always talk about spring cleaning and all that. And that's another good time in the nature cycles. But now is a good time as well. There's a lot of, I work with different Chinese herbal practitioners, and they do a lot of cleanses now as well in the fall. So that's a really good time to release whatever is holding you back, all the multitude of things that we have discussed, because it's important, and especially in this type of work, or if you are interested in becoming more of a spiritual being, um, it's important to release those things because, like Winter was saying, it's like they pile up. Whether it's actual stuff, emotional stuff, memories, things you haven't forgiven. It's like you have all of these things piled up, and you need to try to let go of some of them so that there's room for the new cool good stuff that is waiting for you, right? Right outside on the precipice, like Winter was saying. So it's just important, and it's a great time to do it. And I don't really think people talk about it as much because, like you were saying, Winter, it's such a busy time with school, and then you get into Halloween and the holidays. So I think it's not talked about enough as a time of really letting go and moving forward, and growing your own personal growth as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a good majority of us who have children that are school or college age, because you're still going after them, and even in college, making sure they get to school and get set up and stuff. Um, we get focused on that, and we, lose sight of Mother Nature. She's taking this time period to release. And it's almost like we're the salmon swimming upstream. Sometimes, if we just follow Mother Nature, I mean, obviously, if you have young kids, you got to be on top of them to get started. And yeah, there's going to be new soccer clubs, new after school activities, all that. Uh, but also try to realize that this is a good time to, maybe if your child has switched schools and they're now on a new soccer team, donate the old soccer uniform that they no longer fits them from elementary school, because I'm sure there's a child in need in elementary school. So just little things, like if that's the only thing you can do, that's great. You've helped out a family, you've put out good positive energy. That's going to come back to you. And I understand. I help out a friend. She got two, so I know how busy it is when you have young children. Um, I was he with baseball. He's in baseball, so all the games every weekend. So it is really hard to fit in. So even if you can just do a little thing to take advantage of this wonderful releasing energy. The other thing I just wanted to bring up, not that I'm an astrologer, but we're having like 4 months of super moons, which in metaphysics means a more oomph to the moon energy. We just had a full moon with a partial lunar eclipse, and that was a really good period. That was around the 18th. And there's going to be a super moon in October, November, and December, is my understanding. So you tap into these energies. We are connected. You know, I don't think we're separate and distinct. Do I think, I mean, how many babies are born during the full moon, right? Compared to the first quarter moon. So we are connected to nature on a certain level. We're connected to the solar system on another level. Tap into these energies and let them assist you.
Yeah, no,
Now,
100%. And I was thinking about that. We must be psychic or something. I was thinking about that, the moons, and there's also been, I don't know if anybody here follows, but the solar flares. And people that are very sensitive, that can really affect you. Now, again, I'm not an astronomer, astrologist either, but I do know that if you're an empath, you're intuitive, sometimes when the moon is, super mooning and the flares are flaring, it can affect you. And so, I know Winter started saying that, she's felt she has a lot of stuff going on, and I have a lot of stuff going on. So if you're feeling kind of like a little scattered or a little like there's so much stuff coming at you, it's because there is there is a lot of stuff, energetically, in the universe coming at you, whether it's energies and just, I don't have to get started on the political piece right now, just I think in
yeah,
general, There's so much stuff. Like I was at my acupuncturist, who is amazing, and and we were talking about just even feeling it in your body, just all the crazy energy in the planet right now. Like if you feel like a buzzing or like a vibration in your body, he was talking about that you're like an antenna, obviously. I mean, especially if we're connecting to spirit. So if you're feeling that type of energy, or if you're feeling kind of drained, you had a good night's sleep but you wake up and you still feel like exhausted, be gentle with yourself, because there's a lot of stuff going on, not just in the world, but planetarily, and the solar flares. You can look those up, by the way, to see how intense they are. I find myself, if I'm feeling kind of weird or kind of logy, I'll look it up and they'll be like, level 4 solar flare, or like a super intense solar flare, because it does affect your energy. So just sort of be aware of that. As much as you can, I know, I have kids. It's hard sometimes when you're running around to all those practices, but try to take a little bit of care of yourself and just recognize that it's really not business as usual on the planet right now. We're in kind of a special time, a very intense time, and it's going to affect everybody, in different ways, but it will affect you. So it's important just to be aware of that and make adjustments. If you need to take a bath with some Epsom salts, which I recommend, just to sort of detox and soothe yourself, if you can do it, do it. Take the hour. Um, it's important to try to really be good to yourself and do whatever you can to support yourself during this time, while sort of leaning into that energy of change. So it's like all this crazy stuff is going on, and you want me to change at the same time, Mari? What are you talking about? But you don't want to be stagnant. You don't want to be like, a mushroom on a log. You want to try to keep moving forward and seeing what's next for you in the universe. So I'm just sort of putting that out there for you to know that, oh wow, I'm working on all this stuff and now today I feel really weird. Check the astrology, check the astronomy, see what's going on, and that might help explain it for you as well.
I'm just going to add, and then I'm going to ask. We have somebody in the Zoom room who recently lost their pet. So,
Okay.
um,
Yeah, and I'm checking Facebook, so if I'm looking down, that's what I'm doing.
but I wanted just to add, Mari brought up an important point. Um, we have two wars going on right now that our country is tied to, as is the world, because we are no longer isolated countries. We are, intertwined in business and travel and et cetera, even though we're independent countries. We also have a lot of different viewpoints in our own countries on how things should be run. There's a lot of anger. Um, Now, if you are a sensitive person, even if you're not aware of your sensitivity, that can also be draining on you. So, actually, a good technique would be when you get up in the morning, just wrap yourself in divine light, the light of whichever God you pray to. Okay, it doesn't need to be a particular religion, just ask the God of your understanding, is a good way to put it, to enfold you in their beautiful protective light. If you like to work with angels, you can also ask the archangels. And I say that, and then actually, if you don't have to run around with kids, take an hour and start getting rid of stuff and focus on that so that your mind's not pulled to some of these worldly events and the fear mongering that unfortunately many of the media uh, in order to get views and sell papers or however they make money online, pull you into. It used to be they would just give heads up to, oh, we might have a hurricane down here, and now it's like um, the Florida is going to be wasted away with Hurricane Helene. It's just I see the level of fear that they're churning. I mean, it's a serious thing, of course, but it just never used to be that way. So, and then being aware, if you are on social media, the posts are angrier. People are angry. And it was interesting. um, 2 nights ago, I sat with my trance group, Shambhala. I am the medium, and our philosophy guide came through, and he spoke about um, good anger and bad anger. Basically, sometimes you need anger to perpetuate change. Because maybe there is um, ci- um, civil rights movement. Okay. That there was anger for that, and it was rose to the level where people then acted to to make changes in a positive way for all. Um, but then there's also bad anger, just to simplify it, where people are just lashing out. They're angry, they don't know why they're angry, and they're just picking up on the energy and creating more anger. So if that's oh dear, Sue, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to minimize the Florida hurricane. Sue, who's with us today, is in the Keys, so we'll send lots of light and protection. But I just meant that the way the news, they're portraying this event, it's that it's going to wipe out everything in its path. It is dangerous. They should be talking about it. They should be encouraging people who are able to take refuge out of the storm, like bring their pets. All that is good. Notifying people that this is a big one, it could cause a lot of damage, that's good. But the way some of the news outlets and media weather outlets are uh, yelling about it, it's like we're not going to have the state of Florida anymore after this one.
Right.
And this is what I'm saying. Everything is getting higher and higher with the drama, and that's got to affect any of us who are sensitive. So sometimes it's just good to unplug, use that hour to just focus on your own place, release, donate, release the energy, put it out there good, bring in the good to fortify you as you're swimming through society with all the drama queens. So, um, Mari, would you like to give a message to Sue, who's with us in the Zoom room? She lost her pet.
Sure. I was just texting her or, chatting her. And I agree with everything you said, by the way, about you turn on the news and everything's like, oh my God, and obviously, of course, hurricane, not good. But, just watching, I think watching the news all the time can also just increase your anxiety and put you in a place where you're not healing and you're not taking care of yourself. So sure, you can find out what's going on. Clearly, if you live in Florida, it's important to know what's happening. But for your own sanity and your own peace of mind, watching news, all the time is just not, it's not good for you. It is not healthy. It's not going to help you move closer to your spiritual potential. So I can
I
leave
just think
it
they're
at
more
that.
dramatic than they were 20 years ago. Don't you
Yeah.
find it?
100%. For me, it feels a lot less like news and more just like PR, like whatever
That's
side
it.
you're
That's
on. It's like a PR machine for, pick your party. It's not really news, it's sensationalized. So, but
Thank you. That's the way I should have said it, from your lips. That's wonderful. That's the point I was trying to make,
yeah,
because
kind of
I
crazy.
don't think it serves to, it's just going to frighten people, whether
Right.
versus empower them to make certain decisions in light of this hurricane. Or, I just saw one before. Oh, look at all the lovey hearts with you. Oh, watch out. You better stock up because the union might go on strike. And now consumers are not going to be able to get all the food stuff they need.
Mm.
I don't know.
No, it's just, of course. And again, if it's a natural disaster, you should always have some extra food and water in your house. Just the common
No,
sense
this is
things.
just
But of course,
negotiations
yeah.
between the union, the people that take the stuff off the ships, um, and the companies. They're negotiating a new contract. But the way it's portrayed in news is everyone's going to go hungry because they're going to strike and there's not going to be any the supplies are going to dwindle. That has they haven't even decided to strike.
Yeah. No, it's
So,
all sensationalized. Like I said, it just feels like PR for whatever, side they're working with. So I say pay less attention to that and pay more attention to your inner news, your inner workings and what it is that you need for yourself and your family, and that's really going to help you grow, and it's also going to sort of fortify you so that you can sort of survive these crazy times. Because if you're all exterior, your locus is all exterior, and you're like, oh, what about this and this and this, then you don't have any reserves inside of you, in your soul, to really cope with all of the crazy things that are going on. So give yourself some of that time. Focus on releasing what no longer serves you, whether it's physical, metaphysical, spiritual, emotional, any of those things. And I think it will put you in a better stead moving into the new year, while we go through the holidays and all those crazy times.
oh,
And I would love to do a reading for Sue. For some reason, I don't have, none of them have their cameras on, which is fine. You don't have to. But Sue, if you have like a picture you can show. Oh, there, I see. Hi, Kimberly. You turned it on. So, not necessary, but if Sue would like a reading, if she has a photo of her doggy, that would be helpful. If not,
she sent it on Facebook.
oh,
I
she
don't
did.
see it on my Facebook, and I just
Yeah, I
maybe
don't
at
see it
yours
on here either.
because maybe
Well, it could be like 12 million places on Facebook, like all the messengers or I don't know. I do not see it here on Facebook.
I'm just checking my
If Sue,
professional
you
page.
have it, you can just hold it up to the camera. That's fine. In lieu of that, you can tell me the name of the dog and the breed or coloring. That would be helpful. I can work off of that as well. But yeah, I do not see a photo anywhere. So. Let me know, Sue, if you're still here. You could put it in the chat, or you can turn your camera on and give us the name of the dog and the breed, or if you want to just show a picture, that would be great. And while we are waiting for Sue, I don't know if Terry or Kimberly have any questions, or looking for a reading, or happy to discuss more about releasing, because that was the topic of our show. And I think it's a great topic for September, honestly, because it's not talked enough about.
Okay, so Sue came back with Lucy White Lab. I can't, Sue, I'm so sorry. I looked on my professional page. I can't find where the photo went, but Lou, can you work off a white lab or I can do it?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're welcome to we can both do it if you want, but it's interesting because I know we're talking, I read your little spiel in the chat about passing and traveling and everything. It's interesting when I tune into Lucy's energy. There's such, like, I keep getting soul dog. Like, there was so much depth to her. And I know we all, a lot of people have animals, and they're, sort of different levels, just like people. I'm letting Sue back in, so I don't know if she had to drop out. But hopefully you're hearing this, Sue. And so, but when I connect with Lucy, I get very much like a real depth to her. I don't want to say she was like, just like people, animals all have souls, and some of them are just kind of more surface, or what you see is what you get. With Lucy, I just feel like I'm going into a well emotionally, because she's so deep, and there was a real knowingness with her. She's talking to me about always really being there for you and being super supportive of whatever you were going on. Now, I know a lot of our animals do this, but not all of them all the time. With Lucy, I can sort of see her watching over you, looking over, making sure everything's okay, like almost like the guardian of the house, a little bit, is what I get from her, sort of watching everything. And it's interesting, she's talking to me about food. I don't know if she's talking to me about what you would eat or she would eat, but there was a real pickiness. I don't know if you changed her food closer to, oh, there you are. Okay, I see you're in the chat. Yeah, because you were coming in and out a couple times, so I wanted to make sure could hear. So there's something about the food and like switching up the food. So I don't know if you offered her different types of food all the time, but because she's showing me like a plate of this and then a plate of this and a plate of this, all different things. So I don't know if that meant she was picky or if she just sort of liked everything and would sort of rotate through all these different flavors. I'm definitely not seeing just like dog food, dry kibble all the time. Not that. I'm seeing like human food. Okay, so she's saying in the chat she ate everything. Yes, so that's what I'm seeing. Um, and it's I don't know why she just showed me a treasure chest. I'm not sure what that means. If that makes sense to you, feel free to validate. Or if it doesn't make sense, that's fine. I always tell people that 98% of the time I hear back from people saying, "Oh yeah, the thing that you said I didn't understand. Well, now I do." So she just showed me a treasure chest, which is connected to her in some way. Um, and she's also, it's funny, she's showing me like a million toys that she has and or, had in her house, but she's like, I still have them because she's telling me she's still there with you energetically. And I'm not sure if you see that or if you pick up signs from her, but she's showing me all these toys. But I feel like out of the whole, like it's almost like a pile, like a row of toys that she had, but she didn't really play with them, that many of them. She's showing me maybe one or two, but not playing with all these toys that she had. And it almost feels like maybe some of them might have been left over from another dog or from another person, because she's showing me a lot of them. She's like, yeah, I didn't really like a lot of them. I only liked a couple of them. Um, and she also just showed me a tree. It looks like a Christmas tree, but it almost feels to me like some type of memorial tree. So I don't know if you buried her ashes or you planted something in her honor. There's some piece about a special tree. It almost looks like a pine, but it doesn't feel like a Christmas tree. So she made mention of that as well as either like a special place you would visit, or maybe her ashes were there, or you planted something, something like that. Some piece that she just mentioned that. Uh, so I'm not sure. I'm going back to the chat here. Okay.
I just want to add real quick before we switch recipients.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
When I was reading out the description, the white lab, all of a sudden, Sue, I was aware of a dog licking me. I think she was a kisser. Not all dogs are kissers, but I feel like if you're sitting down and she could come up, she'd be giving you the lick on the cheek. And I also feel that she would try to get on the furniture whenever she could sneak it, because I feel that you guys preferred her not on the furniture. She had her own bed, but she was a little nudge, and when you weren't looking, she would get up there, and then when you scold her to get off, I feel like she would give you her version of a stink eye. So I do feel a lot of love from her, and like she just envelops you with her energy. She was always on the furniture. But the question is, did you permit her on the furniture, or did you tell her to get down? So she was a love bug. Perfect. Because that's what I feel, that now that she's in energy form, I feel like she comes in, she visits you very often, and she just envelops your aura with her energy and gives you like a big old bear hug. So I would suspect that um, she's also quite happy that you can't move around right now because you're in one place. Great. Every day you see a sign. Awesome. Because she's definitely influencing you to notice things when she's enveloping you with her love. And she likes having you home. Okay. So I'm just going to leave that with you with her love and the blessings of spirit. And I do think, Kimberly, you sweetheart, you wanted a message, correct?
I'm always open.
Always open. Great. Um, Now, do you have a particular question?
No. So, if you want to do animal communication, I do have a picture of a dog.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's up to you. We can do either.
I also have a grandmother in spirit. Would you understand a grandma in spirit?
course. Yep, I
Okay,
would.
because she's also chomping at the bit, but we can do the dog. She's
Yeah,
okay as long as
it's
her
fine. If you
granddaughter.
want to go with grandma, that's fine too.
Okay, and so let me go back to the dog though. Was the dog kind of medium size, 45 to 60 pounds, that range?
Not the one I'm thinking of, but I have had medium-sized
So
dog.
and would the dog have had a couple of different colors, like a beagle, like some
Um,
brown, a little bit of white?
yes, I've had, yep.
Okay, because I feel like grandma's showing me that dog in
Okay,
spirit. And she's letting you know she's got all the dogs. Now, this would be mom's mom.
okay. Yeah, that would make
You
sense.
understand? Mom's mom is in
Mhm.
spirit. She was an animal lover. She's saying you got that from her. She liked animals.
She
Yes or no?
did, except for cats, but she learned to love them.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because she did show me the dog. She showed me the dog. So I just kind of put it in the generic. She was an animal lover. So she's enjoying her time with the pets on the other side. Now, I also feel grandma was she would stand her ground and in an argument.
Yes.
She had her point. She was going to make her point. And you're going to see her way before she's done.
Hmm. Yeah.
And your mom, on the other hand, she'll just be like, all right, fine. And she's going to walk away and spare her peace. Your grandmother would just stand there. I'm not budging until you see it my way. And she said, you inherited that. It's kind of skipped a generation. And she's suggesting, though, that sometimes now that she's on the other side and she's had a chance to think about things, your mother may be onto something. Not that your grandmother ever wanted to admit she was wrong, okay? But your mother might have been onto something. Sometimes it's the peace is more valuable than standing your ground. And she just wants to whisper that in your ear in regards to a certain situation going on right now with you. Do you understand what she's alluding to?
I have to think about the situation, but I'll definitely keep it in mind because it's part of my personality. So,
Okay, yeah, just because it's a public platform. So she said, you'll understand, but part of your personality and the way you interact with certain people, like with your father, definitely stand your ground, but maybe a young man, not so much. Okay, so I'm gonna leave grandma with her love and assurance that she's got the pets.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Very nice, very nice. So yes, Kimberly. So I'm happy to do, either. But if Winter did such a nice job with your grandma. Do you have the picture of your fur
I do.
baby?
We can try, see if you can.
Oh, and what's his or her name?
Winston,
Winston. And Winston is crossed over?
I believe so. We had to, well, it's a long story, but he ended up having to be rehomed and it broke my heart.
Okay, okay.
But I
All right.
believe he is. He was old.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's interesting because I do, as I connect to him, I do feel like he has cross because usually their energy is a little bit different. With him, it's like I'm getting an interesting personality with him. I don't want to say like bipolar, but I feel like there are almost like two sides to him. I feel like he could be very loving sometimes, but then sometimes it's almost like he might just kind of switch over and you weren't really sure why. Because I'm getting like a yin and a yang with him. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
But it's like he's also saying to me, he's like, but I'm not a bad dog. Like I'm not, like it was important to him for you to know that he wasn't a bad dog. He's telling me, which I'm sure you recognize, but it was important to him because it's like there's some guilt piece with him that he keeps bringing up. And I don't think it's just about, the behavior you were talking about. I don't know if he was a rescue or if you got him from like a breeder that didn't want him, because there's some piece about he feels bad about himself. And that's sort of how it always was since he was little. And I think that contributed to his behavior that led you to, rehome him to try to find another place for him. Does that make sense to you, that the guilt piece? Because that's what he keeps talking to me about.
I mean, I could see it being true. It makes me sad. I have guilt because I had to rehome him and I didn't, it was like the absolute last resort.
Oh, of course. No, and I pick up on that as well, but he's talking about that he feels it's almost like a self-esteem thing that led him to behave in the way that he did.
I
That he sort of
see
felt
that.
like bad about himself and that he was like and unsure. It's like if you're like a teenager and you're unsure and but you want to put on the brave front, like, oh, I know everything and I'm cool and like that kind of energy. That's what he's talking to me about. But now that he's on the other side, he's saying that he feels kind of bad about that, and the genesis of that was that he didn't feel very good about him in the first place. I know that's a little convoluted, but that's sort of what I'm feeling from him, and hopefully you can understand that. And it's interesting, he keeps talking to me about, was there a piece about a farm? Did he come from a farm? Because he's showing me it almost looks like, like farmland or some place that had a lot of trees outside, some type
Yeah.
of farm environment. Do you understand that?
Yes, he came from a farm. As
Okay. Because he's showing me that, and it's like, and he was loving it, like out in that type of environment, just being outside and being with all the stuff. And so I think for someone like him, and they're all souls, so they're people, like I think they're people like we are. Um, I think it would have been hard for him to be in a more confined type of environment or a more structured environment. He's more like a free spirit, is what he's telling me. He kind of liked to be out there and do what he wanted to do, and didn't necessarily want to listen to what other people were telling him, even though he's like, oh, I better be, because then they're going to think I'm bad. So it's like he's a very complex, multi-personality type of soul that I'm connecting with. And the other piece that he's talking to me about is that he doesn't want you to feel bad for rehoming him. So even though he had all these sort of complex feelings, like if he was a person, he would be in therapy, I think, for a while, to try to work these things out. And so, but he's also saying like that he doesn't want you to feel bad because he knows that you did everything you absolutely could. He's like, I know that you did everything you could, and I know that, like, he keeps saying, I know you had my best in mind. I know you had my best in mind. And so it's just important that you recognize that he's not like, animals don't bear any grudges anyway, but certainly he's like, I'm not holding that against you, or he doesn't want you to hold on to that because our animals are here to help us be the best version of ourselves. And he doesn't want that over your head because that would sort of conflict with his purpose. And it's interesting, as he's talking to me about this rehoming piece, it was like, in some ways this helped you grow in a way that you weren't really expecting. Does that make sense?
Um, I can see that it was a very, very, very difficult decision, and it was during a time in my life with a lot of transition.
Yeah, because I'm seeing a lot of change, and it's like it almost feels like getting to this point of, oh, I don't really want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this, but on a variety of different levels. But because with him, it sort of pushed you over the edge to have to deal with something really difficult in this manner. And so that sort of, it feels to me like something that helped you grow from this adversity, if that makes sense. Um, but it's interesting. He's also showing me like a little bell. I don't know if you had like a bell on the tree or some piece about a bell that was connected to him, and he's just showing me that. And again, it could be a message. I don't know if you feel like you ever get messages from him, but it could be like the ringing of a bell if you're out and you're like, what was it? Did I just hear a bell? Like, so if that doesn't make sense, just hold on to that because that's something he just dropped in. But it's interesting, if the bells he's showing me almost looks like a piece of stained glass, which I think is even more interesting. So if that doesn't make sense, just keep it in mind because again, you know, these things don't come out of nowhere. They're spirit led. And so sometimes it might take us humans a little while to figure out what they mean. But he just showed me this little stained glass looking bell. And so just know that he still is around you and he's not holding any grudges, and he doesn't want you to feel bad for everything that happened because he knows, first of all, it was important for your growth, and second of all, that's why he was there. And it just was kind of like a mismatch. It's like if you're with someone and you really like them and you want to have a relationship with them, but like it just, no matter what you do, it just doesn't fit. It's the same way. It was the same way with him.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope that was helpful.
It was. Thank you.
Thanks for
Good, you're
tuning in today,
welcome. I realize I wanted to
Kimberly.
try to keep track of time here, so.
Yeah, I do want to touch in a little bit quickly with Terry. So she's wrote she can't turn her camera on for some reason. She was
Oh, okay.
trying. She's having a technical difficulty. But she asked if we had any messages from any loved ones on the other side. So I do see your father is I've read for you before, and I do recognize your dad stepping up. I do see your mom up there too, but dad's going to take the floor, and and my cats are all over the place here because they like his energy. So your father wants to come in and bring a very solid rock type energy. Like he was the rock that you and your mom would turn to in times of worry. And worry you two did. Okay, so your mom is giggling a little bit because she's learned now that she's on the other side that worrying doesn't solve anything, just makes you feel worse. And you're confirming that this is accurate. So dad says, but honey, you've got a lot on your plate and it's not even Thanksgiving. That's the way he puts it out there. He's kind of got a very gentle uh, ability to make light of a situation. So kind of make you giggle a little bit, and that will help release the topic of our show today, some of the anxiety and stress that you're experiencing over the family situation.
Right.
So dad had that way about him, and he still does. He said, what you need to do is take a time out and just maybe watch a funny sitcom. I think your father enjoyed funny sitcoms when he was here on Earth. And he never wanted to miss particular shows. And I think Archie Bunker is coming to mind, and Edith. And I do feel like your father kind of let out a belly laugh when he watched Archie Bunker and Meathead. All right. So he wants you to find a show that makes you laugh, and then just set aside a half hour to watch. You can however you want to watch them, Netflix, whatever, but take that time at least once a day to watch something that's going to make you laugh. Okay. And just stop thinking about what's going on and allow yourself to just release the stress of the day and reset, and then get up and continue on, because that's what you do. Your father says, my daughter continues on. All right. You're a very strong person and you've been balancing a lot. And she said, yes, I overthink and over worry. Thank you, Kimberly. So that's what dad's bringing through today. He's reassuring you that the family is around you. He's bringing in his rock solid energy, steady energy, and he's suggesting that you find a half hour a day to watch something that's going to make you giggle, and that will help you reset and release so that you don't become overwhelmed. And they send a lot of love to you, sweetheart. I'm sending you a hug. And thank you so much for tuning in, as you always do. We love to see you.
That was wonderful, Winter. Very nice. I would agree with everything she said. And Terry, I hope that you are taking care of yourself because it's important. That's what we spend a large part of the show talking about, is making sure that you're letting go of what doesn't help you, and worry and anxiety definitely doesn't help anybody. And I know some of us are more prone to it than others, but it just means that you're sensitive, and it's a message from the universe sort of telling you to, okay, can I step back here a little bit and take care of myself, because what I'm doing now isn't helpful. And I think the TV show is brilliant suggestion from your dad. So I think it is about time that we are wrapping up here. And I know usually we go over our events. We can do that quickly. Winter and I have not yet picked our next date for Spirit Chat, but we will get right on that. It will be in October sometime. So, just look out on Facebook or Instagram, all those places to find when the next one will be. In terms of what I have going on, since I had to write it down because I will not remember, I'm going to be on the Secret to Everything podcast with Kimberly McGeorge live on October 16th, 3 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be, I think, doing a lot of and talking about animal communication and doing readings. So if you did not get a reading today and would like one, feel free to tune in then. I'm also going to be on the Something Super Spiritual podcast with the amazing Jeffrey Peck. He's fabulous. And we're going to do like a little spooky show on October 30th, which will be 7 p.m. Eastern. All these events are on my website, by the way, mediamari.com, and you can catch up with me and get on my wait list for readings, because I do have a wait list, but I'm slowly going through them. I have a few other things going on as well. December 10th is the Medical Intuitive Miracle Show with Kimberly Meredith. That'll be very cool. She does medical intuitive readings, and I'll be doing readings as well. That's on Blog Talk. And
We
then,
had her on the show. She was lovely.
yeah, we had her on the show. She's fabulous. And then December 14th, I'm doing her Mother Mary Matrix, Triple M, holiday party, which is free, donation only. So if you can't afford anything, it's free. And we'll be doing readings and giveaways. That is December 14th. Also again on my website, but it's super fun. It's like a couple of hours, and again, totally free. Blessings, prayers, healings, giveaways, readings, and that'll be super fun. So take it away, Winter. I'm sure you have like 10,000 things coming up.
Yeah, so I'm behind the eight ball, everybody. But I'm being busy, but I'm doing the helper thing, helping someone with childcare and doing an application for the child. So that's kind of, you can only move so well, I can. I'm not as good as I used to be when I was 23, but I do have some events coming up. I'm hoping to get them published soon. I'm scheduled to teach in-person Reiki if you're interested, if you're near Northport, on Sunday, November 3rd, with my Reiki master partner, Angela Williams Jones. And then we'll do this part 2 Reiki, Reiki level 2 on December 1st. And again, that's an in-person class in my office in Northport Village. For those of you that like online stuff, which I very much do, on November 9th, I will be participating once again with the Transcendence Weekend. This is hosted by Lori Smith and Brian D. Smith. Not married, just business partners, last name same. And there'll probably be about 20 teachers, and you pay like $55, but I can get you a $5 coupon, so it's like $50, I think, and you have access to all the events. There'll be lectures, there'll be mediumship demonstrations, there'll be astrology, all the different metaphysical arts should be represented, and it's a lovely weekend. I'm teaching at 5 p.m. on November 9th, and if the weekend goes the November 8th through, that's Friday, through the 10th. So it's a wonderful bargain for the ticket price. For those of you that are located in Suffolk County or even Nassau County, I'm going to be in person at the Riverhead Library and doing signs and messages in November, right before Thanksgiving, about 10 days before. I forgot to write the date down, just because I know it's a Sunday from 1:30 to 3. And I will also be putting some dates together for a psychic mediumship development class. I think I'm going to push it to January. I'm currently teaching trance online because, as I said, doing lots of stuff, good stuff, really good stuff. I'm very happy. But it all takes a lot of time and energy. And last but not least, I am going to be a part of the 2nd annual International Physical Mediumship Conference in Albany. Mari went with me last year, and we
Very
had a
cool.
blast.
Yes, it was very
Um,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, so there'll be some new presenters this year. Sonia Rinaldi, who does the ITC, um, which is they create images of your loved ones through smoke, or they've had um, the messages through the white noise. We leak out the name. Sherry Pearl does that. There's going to be a mediumship artist who actually doesn't accept any money for his work. He works with the great masters and goes into a trance and makes these wonderful Monet or Van Gogh. I'm not a big art person, but you donate money for the painting, and it all goes to support an orphanage in Brazil. So those of you know I'm very child and pet oriented with those causes. So I am super excited to meet this man. And he basically helps support this orphanage for these children. So that's a wonderful thing. And there's going to be many other presenters along with me. And I'll be teaching trance. So, with that note, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're catching the recording, um, okay, thank you, Sue. Sue is just validating our messages. Both of us were spot on for her late dog, Lucy. And God bless you all. And thank you, Maury.
Thank you, Winter. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And if you're on
Thank you.
iHeart or Spotify, thank you for listening in. Tune in. We'll be on in October again. Not sure of the date, but we will be back. So thank you for watching, listening to Spirit Chat. Thank you, Winter, and we will